Welcome back if you're returning. Today's video is a makeover video, but it's very much inspired by my experience with French country. Now recently I did a bedroom makeover which was all blues and whites and toiles, but this is more of a rustic and more authentic French country that I saw while we were travelling in France over the last few years. A lot of their decorating is obviously it's very rustic, but it's also very faith based. There's on a lot of occasions you will find in these little villages and towns lots of religious relics as well as in the home. So this is something that I wanted to incorporate in this makeover. So I've kind of gathered some things together, hoping that what I've got will sort of inspire me and give me the look that I'm ultimately going for. I'm keeping a lot of things in the room, the colours of the walls, a lot of the furniture, and I'm hoping this will evolve into the picture that I have in my mind. This is my inspiration. So I got these beautiful French linens that I thought they were gorgeous. This crucifix which was 50 cents, if you can believe that. But the thing that started it all was this roll of chinoiserie wallpaper. This was what I had left from a job that I did at another house, a previous house of mine. So I had nearly a full roll left. I also had this trim. I had quite a few pieces of this, and unfortunately I ran out before I'd finished, but I'll come to that. So what I did was I went around, I took everything off the walls that I could, and then I filled all the holes with filler, and then prepared the wall to take the wallpaper. So what I was hoping to do was put a full panel above the bed, and then on this opposite wall I'm moving the TV, and then I was going to put panels around the TV. I managed to get the wallpaper panels up, but of course that's when I ran out of trim. So rather than half do that wall, I left the trim off until I can redo the whole of the panels with the same trim. So in the meantime I mixed my wallpaper paste, I got my brush ready and my cloth to do the wallpapering, and this was just the Zenza wallpaper paste you can get from any of the hardware stores. I'd mixed it. This is a little thin. I should have done it a bit thicker. I ended up having to go back because this is quite old wallpaper, so it did take a little bit more gluing than fresh wallpaper, but it was great. So I cut the 3 panels to fit the area that I'd measured above the bed. So I'd done the same distance from the ceiling to the floor and from each wall, and then matched the 3 panels up, cut them to size and pasted those up. Once that was done, I measured and cut the trim, painted it the same colour as the wall. I did add some little pieces that I'd got, some little pieces of moulding that I'd made out of my air dry clay. I then added those to all the little corners, and then I also added some beading that I'd had, which you can pick up from the dollar store. It's just like sticky back beading. I stuck that on it as well, and then painted that over in the same colour. And what this did was it just gave this trim a little bit of a lift. It made it look a little bit more detailed than it actually is. So as I said, I knew that once I had this on the wall I wanted to cover up the joins, so I had this little pieces of the moulding that I'd made other jobs previously. I just cut them all down to size and then glued them on with my hot glue gun over the joins on each of the corners of the moulding. So at this point I've got my 3 panels glued to the wall. I've got the trim that has been cut and painted. I add a nail to the center of the bottom piece of the trim, and then once that nail is in, it supports it enough that I can level it with my spirit level and then go back over it and tack it in with the nail gun. and I do this all the way around, making sure everything is straight. Once the nails are all in, I go back over them with the filler, make sure everything's covered, and then give it a coat of paint again to fill in where the holes were. Once that's done, I've had some packets of like a glittery trim. I guess it's like beading that you can add to craft jobs. I cut them all into pieces, these are self-adhesive, and then glued them down the centre of the trim that I'd made, and then went over them and painted them. What it's done, it's lifted this trim and made it look a little bit more high-end. From a distance it looks better than just the flat trim. This comes, as I said, from the dollar store in packets. It's like gold, and I've cut them all into pieces and then just laid them down the centre, as you can see here. I've only gone so far because I wanted to make sure my corners were done first, line them up, and then you can see the colour here. It's a gold trim that I've painted over. So it was because I was going through things for a garage sale that I ended up coming up with the idea for me doing this room. So obviously you're going through your things, you're finding things you haven't used in a while, deciding what you're keeping, what you're getting rid of. So that was the inspiration with the wallpaper. This was a box that was a cigar box that I've had for many years. It was thrifted, and I'd used it as a remote control box for a long while in my living room. I've now since replaced that with a beautiful William Morris advent calendar box that is in a previous video from after Christmas with the winter makeover for the living room. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to recreate a relic box. As I said, in French, a lot of the French decor, they have these beautiful little shrines and altars with lovely religious memorabilia. So this is what I'm trying to sort of replicate here. While we were in France, we did visit Lourdes, and I picked up this beautiful little glass bottle of the Virgin Mary, and it has holy water in it. So what I wanted to do was try and replicate almost an altar relic box. So I painted the inside of it, and then I took these lovely little bouquets of lavender and glued those into place. Again, kind of creating a little altar or shrine around the little bottle. I decided the lid, I wanted to dress it up a little bit, so I cut a piece of card, covered it in batting, and then covered it in velvet, stuck that back inside the lid, and added then a little velvet wrapped bouquet back into the inside of the lid, which really dressed the box up. Grab this other box from my stash. Going to give this a quick coat of this white chalk paint. It's a very rustic look. This is going to be another memorabilia box, so I'm just painting the outside, and then I'm going to screw this to the wall and then put some little items inside it once it's on the wall. Wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't have a lampshade makeover. So this is a lampshade that I ended up using on a different lamp base. I have two nice glass lamp bases which are very French, I think. So this is what I did. I just took this piece of, it's like a lace, it's I guess it's a crocheted piece. You see these everywhere in France. They're on chairs, they're on windows, they're on tables, they're everywhere. So this is one that I've had. I guess this would have come off a window. I stretched it so it went all the way around. It was a little tight, but it allowed me to adapt it to the lampshade a little better. So I just glued it in place, and once it was all in place, I folded up the piece from the bottom. It was almost the scalloped edges. I folded it back onto the full lampshade and then added some little crystal pieces to it, and it's given me a very unique lamp cover. Next piece came out of my backyard. I've had this for some years. It was orange to start with, it's been black, it's been white. I'm now painting it to give it a rustic feel. So I'm going over it with the white chalk paint. Once that is done, I am not covering it completely. I am leaving the bits where the black's coming through. Then I'm going over it with bits of silver, bits of gold, and just layering it to give it a feel as though it's been around for a while and it's been in the garden, it's been in the house. So that was the look I was going for with this. I have a few of these sconces. I think I've had 6 in total. I've picked them all up at different times, various prices. These were, I think, 50 cents. Yeah, they were. So they were a very, the colour was all wrong. So what I decided to do was give them a coat of the silver, and this is basically a metallic silver paint that I've picked up. I've had this for years. I'll say years, probably 2 years. And then I've brushed over the high points on these little sconces. I haven't worried about the colour underneath. It's all, again, adding to that rustic antique look that I want to achieve. So again, just a regular little brush, just gone over it. I haven't gone over the top pieces because you're not going to see them, but just the higher parts filled in with the silver, and that's what I've ended up with. I've had these 2 parrots that I wanted to incorporate on the sconces, so I've done the same treatment on them as I did with the sconces. This is recycling and upcycling at its best. This is a unit we picked up from IKEA, probably new, years and years ago. It was white, I think. No, I think it was brown initially. Then I painted it white, and then the last time I painted it was the same colour as this wall, because this is great storage, but it's just a bog standard IKEA unit. So when I painted it the last time, I put gold handles on. I wanted to change out those gold handles, so I have these beautiful glass handles, which to me are very, very French looking. I only had 4 of the full handles, the rest were single knobs. So what I have done, you can see on this, the paint job on this was not brilliant, so I had a lot of touching up to do. So once I pulled the handles off, I really had to go back in and give it another paint, a touch up where all the handles came off, you can see here. So I repainted all those little spots and anywhere else that you could still see the white paint through, and then I added the 4 glass full handles at the bottom, and then put the little single handles on the top 2 drawers, and well, I think it turned out really great. This picture frame is another make do and mend. I wanted an oval decorative mirror. I couldn't find one for the price that I was willing to pay for it, so I took a picture and a picture frame that I liked, flipped over the picture, painted the back of it silver to give the impression of a mirror, slid it back inside, and I've put it on the wall until such a time that I can get exactly what I want. It fills this space and does its job. I think because of the wall colour, this room is so cosy. This was one of the first rooms I did when we moved in because it was in the worst condition, but I do love how it's turned out. This is the unfinished wall, as we're calling it. I'm going to show you this again once it's finished with the mouldings up, and you will see the difference. It looks a little odd at the moment. The little wicker chair I pulled in from outside to match this little wicker basket for all the extra pillows. The cedar chest, again, a piece that I've thrifted many years ago. These beautiful rosary beads as part of my religious memorabilia collection that's I've really pulled together in this room. And the recent find, the 50 cents for these little postcard holders, a collection of my vintage postcards. Another thing that we noticed while we were in France, and where we are especially, it's northern France, the fields and fields of sunflowers. It's just unbelievable. So beautiful. Again, this chest was whitewashed and then I put a transfer on it, probably an iron orchid transfer, but we will come back to this wall once it is finished properly. But I did want to show you the rest of the room, and if it would have been midweek otherwise before I showed this video, so I wanted to show the video at its normal time. That's why this wall is unfinished. I'm really pleased with how this little dresser turned out. Again, saving it from the landfill for another year. It's and who knows, somebody might want to buy this eventually when we do pass it on, but I do think the handles turned out really nicely. And does it matter that they're mismatched? I don't think so. On top of this little dresser is my beautiful little angel cherub. I just love this guy. He's had a few different incarnations. I put the little crown that I made on him, on his little head, and then draped him with some really pretty little jewellery pieces. And there's my little art deco mirror and a couple of glass, one of them is actually etched candle holders. And I do have a little collection of crowns somewhere. I only found a couple of them, but I'll have to get those out and find out where those are. So I'm calling this the main event, but this is the panel wall that I think's turned out really nicely. As you can see, the picture in the middle is not right. I do need something oval, and an ornate mirror is absolutely what I'm looking for, but I wanted to put something there just to finish that, or at least in my mind give me the look that I was kind of heading towards. But I think it's turned out so nicely. This little memorabilia wall is something that I'm really pleased with as well. I've pulled these little items from all over the house and different collections and pulled them all together on this wall, and it does look really lovely. Again, this is something we saw a lot of in France, and if you're, especially with the colours, it's definitely a rustic look that I've achieved here. I love how these little sconces have turned out with the little parrots on top. Again, tying them all in with a little bit of a silver finish. I did go over the bits of trim with a silver brush, and you can see how it all ties together. I love how this wall turned out. The last thing that I picked up for this was this white crucifix, which was 50 cents. There's a couple of things that I have on this wall that actually have a lot of meaning. This crucifix was my mum's, and I absolutely love that. So that's nice to have in the room. I've had that in my office for a long time, but I thought it would definitely go better in this room, and it certainly looks lovely on this wall. Another piece that I absolutely love is this little Saint Philomena in the cloche. She is the actual saint my mum was named after. I picked that up when I was in Lourdes, and I picked up a little one for my sister. But this little place here that I've sort of incorporated a few of the memorabilia pieces. This little box is the one that I said I've just put 2 screws and screwed it directly to the wall. That's a little Irish linen napkins in the background, and that crucifix actually I think was my grandmother's. The rosary beads were one of my kids from school, and that little Bible is just that thrifted little Bible that I got for 50 cents a few weeks ago. It's not really, it's just a little block. This, I'm so pleased with how this turned out. I've seen these on Pinterest a lot, and I just love how this looks. It will close. I've just put a screw in the back, and so it will close up, but I think it's turned out so lovely. If you grew up the same way as I did, you would find little things like this in the hallway. They were called fonts, and they would hold holy water so that you could bless yourself as you were leaving and entering the house, which is a very nostalgic thing for me. This is the urn, again filled with the lavender, and I think this looks really nice as well. I'm just going to make a note about this little tablecloth. Please, I know it's not been ironed. I would have ironed it. My steamer broke a few weeks ago. I haven't replaced that. I've been using my iron, and now this morning I've gone to use my iron and it did not heat up, so not sure what's going on with that, but I did attempt to do this. I just couldn't because it wasn't working. Well, I hope you enjoyed my interpretation of this French country style. It's combined rustic elements with refined elements, and I think it's really created an inviting and nostalgic space. There are definitely ways to add some chinoiserie style to your home, whether it's French or not. It can absolutely be in wallpaper, porcelain, silk, fabric, you name it, furniture. But if you want to add something in your home that you love, just do it and let the room evolve around it, as this one did. This room has really invoked a sense of peace and comfort. I'm not sure if it's the symbols, they're a reminder of faith, or provide some kind of connection to something more nostalgic, or I don't know, greater than ourselves, whether it's my age. But I'm really enjoying how this room has turned out, and I really love the way it makes me feel.